Well, I am here at the Blister Summit with Dave Bombard from Bishop Telemark. We are very, very psyched to have you here. And we're psyched to learn not only about the brand as a whole, but also about several of the specific products you guys are offering these days. But I think for starters, let's kind of peel the curtain back on the brand. Can you tell us a bit about its origins and kind of how it came from that to what it is today?
Okay, well, thanks for having us. Yeah, it's a bit of a long story, but so the name Bishop actually came from a company that got started in Silverthorne, Colorado, back in I guess around 2000, 2001, they came up with a binding called the Bishop. It was actually Bomber Industries. And he made this Bishop binding. It was similar to these, but not quite. Similar in terms of these, the knuckle and some of the stuff. But he only made it for 4 or 5 years. It had a real big cult following. It was big, a CNC machined, really bomber binding. Then he stopped. I met him. I'm a product design engineer. I was in medical surgical instrument design for a long time. And that's a long story. But I met him and we started working together. And then he was like, he was going to do some other things. And I was like, all right. So I basically kind of took over the brand 10 years ago. So it's been 10 years.
Gotcha.
And we started with kind of re-releasing, we call the Bishop 2.0, which was really that original binding with some improvements while I was designing these bindings, the BMF R and the BMF 3. And we released those, I guess, 2015, I guess, 16 is when we first released these. So we started with the bindings, and then I got into skis because, I realized there really wasn't a real Telemark specific ski. And again, through some contacts, I was like, we had an opportunity to make some skis. And so I was really wanting to innovate on the ski side too with Telemark. So the bindings have some really unique features. The skis have unique features. Then we also picked up this Lurk we call the San Juan stick. So it's a fun pole, kind of goes back to the real origins of skiing, which Telemark really goes back to the origins of skiing, right? It's a way of traveling through the mountains, walking mostly, and then downhill they had to kind of get down, so they'd break off a branch or something and try to hold on to get down to wherever they were going. So we have a modern version of that.
Gotcha. Well, I think in terms of specific products, we might as well start with bindings. You mentioned the origins of the brand. That was the start. And there's obviously been a good bit of innovation since then. First off, I guess, just could you go through the product lineup as a whole and what differentiates each version?
Sure. Yeah, so we have two major types of the binding. One is we call the BMF 3, and that's the really kind of continuation of the very first Bomber Bishop 1. We call the second one the 2.0, and this is the BMF 3. And it's really for resort skiing. Doesn't have a tour mode. And then we did innovate and come up with a tour mode for this binding. So this binding has a free pivot tour mode with climbers. And then you can lock it. You can lock it down, and it really performs the same as this binding once it's locked down. The other, and there's some really unique features along with that, is that we're the only binding where, I don't know if you know there's in Telemark, there's two kinds of boots, right? So it's a bit confusing, but there's an older standard called a 75 millimeter, which is actually the length of the pin line. And it's a duck bill, so it's much longer. And then Scarpa, along with Rodefeller in, I guess, early 2000s, came out with NTN, the new Telemark norm, which struggled for a long time, and still it's really moving over to that. So the new boots are they really took actually the front end of a tech boot, and a lot of them actually have tech fittings in the front. There's Telemark tech bindings, but so they had a new standard, but it didn't really get adopted very quickly. And even today, a lot of people are on 75 millimeter boots. So what we did when I designed this is I allow it to be a 75 millimeter version of this, and then you have the same binding. It's a step in with a break. It's a modern Telemark binding, but you can actually switch it from a 75 millimeter to an NTN.
Okay.
Which is completely unique. And so a lot of people buy our bindings because they have 75 millimeter boots. They like them. They're comfortable. And also the other big thing about this is it goes to the back heel. So generally an NTN boot binding goes to what's called the second heel or the duck butt. There's the duck bill and the duck butt. And, ours doesn't. It actually goes to the back heel, which a lot of people also like because it flexes a boot a lot more kind of progressively, and it's really powerful too. Like, you know, our 75 millimeter binding is super rigid and powerful, and it also flexes the boot in a way they're kind of used to, so they can. And then when they go to their NTN, actually, it almost feels the same. In fact, I skied with a 75 millimeter boot on one foot and an NTN the other with one of the bindings and a 135 one NTN, and after a few turns, I was like, oh, I just skied. It didn't really make a difference. So
Interesting.
That's really unique. The other big thing we have is this switch kit. So every binding comes standard with this kit that is part of the binding. That gets drilled into the ski. And then the binding actually uses machine screws, kind of like a snowboard, and goes into the switch kit. So you buy the binding once, but you can also, if you have a quiver of skis, you can buy just the switch kit and then put that on your quiver and move the binding from ski to ski.
Gotcha. That's exciting. I think the compatibility thing is, I think, a struggle in any industry when you're dealing with standards that seem to be changing or sticking around, or like just long enough where you still have to work for those standards, but then work with the new ones. So it seems like a pretty slick system. Any other like specific components or construction methods, materials that you want to highlight?
We have also the way the binding works. So all Telemark bindings have, as you lift your heel, the heel goes back, right, as you're going. So we have this actually patented sliding plate system where these tubes, there's these springs inside the tube. You can adjust them too, so they're quite adjustable. And we have a regular stiff spring that it comes with, but you can also buy a soft spring. And you can adjust these little spring adjusters in the back. You can move in and fine tune it within that, between the stiff and the soft spring. The step-in is nice because it's also like an alpine type step-in. A lot of patrollers like it because you don't need poles or anything. You just kind of use it's like an alpine style step-in and step-out. Those are kind of the main features for it.
Yeah, so you mentioned right from the start, it sounded like the very first version, durability and just long-term reliability were pretty key focuses. Has that continued to be one of the primary things you think about today with the latest versions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as an engineer designer, we did everything we could to try to anticipate the forces, but Tele is just a lot of different forces going on in binding. So we actually iterated this the first 3 or 4 years it was out. And we were able to, because of the way we built it, like to change and tweak the part designs. In fact, just last year, we're like, okay, this design is really bomber, and we're backing it with the only lifetime guarantee. So we'll guarantee these bindings for the lifetime of the product. Some things wear out, like there's parts that'll wear out, but we'll fix them and take care of them. But we're just at the point where, it's really bomber. It's a big part of the brand, is that we're bomber. We stand behind our product. We got great customer service person, Tom down in Denver, who is awesome, and he really takes care of our customers because we really want to stand behind it.
Well, sweet. With that, I think we could move into the ski side of things. Maybe we start on the narrower side and work our way up from there. Yeah,
sounds good. So the narrow ski is a 90 foot, the Gonzo. It's a full camber ski. It's a really fun ski. I mean, I use it here in kind of the Mountain West when it just hasn't skied in a long time. When we ski a lot of bumps, it's quicker turning. I think I forget exactly the turn radius, but it's like a 15, 16 turn radius, full camber. You can carve really well on it. It's got a flat tail as well, because if you do want to use it in the backcountry, you want to put a flat tail for skins. And it's really our most popular ski in the East. So for East Coast conditions, it's a really fun ski. Even in some softer snow, it's a really fun ski. The next one up is the Chedi, and that's kind of our quiver one ski. It's the one I'm on probably 90% of the time here. I was just skiing today on it, and a little bit of soft snow, but there's some firmer stuff out there today. But it's actually really nice, chalky. It's good stuff. But so it has camber, a fair bit of camber underfoot, and an early rise rocker tip. So it's if there's some powder, it kind of keeps that tip up, especially for telly. You kind of want to make sure you're not going to go over the handlebars. Yeah. So and it likes to charge. That's probably like a 22 to 24 meter turning radius.
Gotcha.
And it's comfortable at sort of higher speeds and kind of driving it a little harder. And then the powder ski is the other ski we have, the Powderhound. So that one is a really kind of really modern shaped powder ski. It's 115 underfoot. It's good size, but I also designed it with, it has a lot of rocker, but tip and tail, not as much in tail, because in telly, I find sometimes you tend to kind of rely, you can't really go forward too much, but you can go back a little bit. So I don't like too much rocker because you can just wheelie out, basically. So it has rocker and tail, not a ton, a fair bit of rocker up front, camber underfoot, that tighter turn radius. So it's really fun. You can slash it, you can pivot it. But also it's nice because when the snow gets a little skied out, you come back down on something firmer and it'll carve because of that nice camber. So it's really kind of fun and even on a groomer. So yeah, that's and they all kind of, the names like, we definitely have a dog somewhat culture. In fact, Bishop was the name of the original owner's dog.
Okay.
And so the Chedi is my dog. So I had a Bernese mountain dog named Chedi, so we named it Chedi after that. The Powderhound was named after operations manager dog. And the Gonzo is just the Gonzo.
Yeah. One thing I'm super curious about, you mentioned like you weren't really seeing Tele-specific skis. From a design and engineer's perspective, were there any design elements, whether it's rocker, which you kind of just touched on, flex pattern, materials, shape, anything that like instantly stood out? You're like, oh, if we change this or this is going to be way better on Teles.
Yeah, in fact, it didn't dawn on me actually until maybe the third year we were making skis, second or third year, and I was like, oh, we can really make this a true Tele-specific ski.
Yeah.
And so I kind of invented this Telem-Arc technology. So, kind of patent pending because it's pretty unique the way we do the construction and the way we taper the core.
Okay.
We actually, and all the skis have that now. It really it shouldn't be used for an alpine ski because we taper the core back where the heel. So on a Telemark ski, you never have forces pulling. The only forces from here back are pushing down on the ski.
Yeah.
So you don't need the heavier, thicker core that every alpine binding needs to put the screws into because it takes force there. So I was able to taper that core differently and change the materials in that area to allow it to flex really unlike any ski. So we take advantage of the fact that we only mount in half the area that an alpine ski does. And we extra reinforce that. We've never had a tele binding come out of our skis because we use really good construction. We use really good binding elements there to make sure it's not going to pull out. So yeah, that's actually one of the really unique aspects of our skis that are tele specific.
Gotcha. And then obviously you have touring capable bindings. Are you thinking about weight in a particular way for specific models? Like, do you think one model is like targeted towards touring, or are they all kind of like all-purpose designated?
They're all all-purpose. Like, I was in Japan last year and I took the Powderhound and I toured on it. Yeah. It's not light. But, honestly, our general motto is like, it's about the down. So, we even call the binding like an enduro binding.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like mountain biking is my summer sport and it's an enduro bike, right? So you can climb it and it's fine. It has a free pivot, but you're not wearing spandex running with the thing.
I gotcha.
Kind of not our demographic. It's about a bomber binding and turns on the way down. But I toured, with it, and it's fine. The Chedi is my go-to touring ski. Yeah. Because it's just an all-around ski. It's a little bit lighter than the Powderhound. And again, it's just a little more versatile for kind of conditions you see.
Makes sense. Cool. And then we have these nice-looking skis behind us. Can you tell me a bit more about the graphics that we're seeing on them?
Yeah. Last year we collaborated with a local artist, Shannon Kennedy, out of Minturn, a little town kind of in Vail Valley, and she worked on the art with us, and so we're really excited about that. We like the looks that she gave us, and we're going to continue to work with her moving forward on the art.
Sweet. Yeah, and with the color palette of the bindings too. I've seen some mounted pairs out there. It looks,
they look really sweet together.
Sweet. Well, I think we can wrap it up with the San Juan stick. Can you tell me, you alluded to it earlier, kind of the historical significance of this and then your more modern take on it?
Yeah, right. So we talked about it earlier when people were just traveling from village to village in snow and had a free heel just to walk around and ski down. They took like a stick just to kind of balance themselves on the way down. So the San Juan stick comes out of Silverton, Colorado. One of our athletes, Marshall Thompson, he kind of was working on one. He uses one exclusively when he skis in the San Juans, and he hikes with it. So it had to come apart. And we came together. I was like, why don't we, bring that on as, I'm a product designer. Let's make it so it's a product for us, and we can engineer it a little bit. And so we came out with, and we call it the San Juan stick because that's where he, is and uses it. And it's great. It's a really fun. It's a really fun way to turn. The way it comes apart is nice, also for the lift. If you're not hiking with it, like you don't have a 12-foot thing trying to get through that lift. You see it come with a 12-foot stick. They're like, whoa, what are you doing? So it comes apart. You can use it in the line to get through the line, get to the top, put it together. And it's a really flowy, kind of fun turn. I don't use it all the time, but it's fun. It definitely gets attention. Like, as a tailor, you get some attention, and then you have one of these things going down, and people are like, what is going on?
It's
and people give you a little more clearance too. You got like a 12-foot stick.
You got a natural shield around you. But I've seen some people using them, and it looks like a really fun way to get down the mountain in a pretty different way too.
It's a really surfy kind of feel when you're using it.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to run us through the brand and the products. I've talked to several people who were out trying them at the summit. They were really stoked to have a Tele outfit here and to try your gear. So thank you. And hopefully you get some skiing while you're here.
Yeah, sounds like there's some snow coming. So thanks for having us again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.